It's not as if Yogi was the chief minister. Where was his law and order if there was this kind of loot taking place in the Ram temple, you know? And he is also somebody who runs, who is the chief mahant of a religious institution. It's not that simple. And this is a very serious issue because the entire edifice of the Bharatiya Janata Party historically, it became prominent only because of the Ram Mandir Andolan.
So, do you sense the fact that this Ram temple loot has brought down the credibility of BJP and RSS both, and which is why many people say that publicly now they cannot dilute what Yogi is going on saying.
Listen, of course it has. In the middle of examination paper loots, in the middle of rising prices, jobs are not being created. Of course, it has brought down, it has created a larger credibility crisis.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Supreme Court today declined to grant an urgent hearing on a plea seeking the constitution of a special investigation team to probe the alleged embezzlement of donations received by Ram Temple Trust for the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Now, this was a partial court working days bench comprising of Justice M.M. Sundaresh and Justice Sheel Nagu, who directed that the matter be listed immediately after the court reopens, after the petitioner appeared in person and he mentioned the case for urgent listing. Now, during the mentioning, the petitioner submitted that the allegations concerning the alleged misappropriation of temple funds were of a serious nature and warranted immediate consideration. Now, Justice Sundaresh, however, questioned the urgency of the matter. So that is a point which needs to be discussed, that why the judges feel to question the urgency of the matter. Of course, that is their prerogative, but what does it go to show? So we'll try and discuss this as well. Now, when asked why the case required urgent hearing, the petitioner responded that the way the state is dealing with the matter casts doubts. Now, the bench was not persuaded to take up the matter during the partial court working days and directed that it be listed after the court reopens. The petition seeks directions to the union government, the Uttar Pradesh government, and the Ram Janbhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust to take appropriate measures to safeguard the interests of the devotees and the donors. Now, it states that irrespective of whether the allegations of missing funds and other irregularities are ultimately substantiated, the reports have caused widespread concern amongst those who contributed to or supported the Ram Mandir movement. Now, what does the petition say? Just a few lines I'll quote, that whether or not the reports regarding missing funds and other alleged irregularities concerning the Ram Janbhoomi Temple Trust are ultimately found to be true, such reports have caused deep concern amongst the generations that struggled for the restoration of the glory of Ayodhya. So this is the legal side of it. Now, this is a separate petition raising similar allegations has also been filed by advocate Narendra Kumar Goswami. So when the matter is going to be listed is something to watch out for when the court reopens. 1st July, the vacation ends tomorrow. But apart from that, the story around the Ram temple loot is also hovering around the fact that Yogi Adityanath has begun to assert himself. It's the same Yogi who felt distanced, who was outcast by Prime Minister Modi. If you remember the consecration ceremony which happened in 2024, it was only Anil Mishra, along with his wife, who were found seated during the rituals and the ceremonies which were performed, and Yogi was not called in. And also, Yogi was not consulted for many appointments which happened in the Ram Temple Trust related to people belonging to the VHP and also belonging to the RSS. In fact, many reports say that some of the appointments happened because of direct recommendation of the Prime Minister. So after this Ram temple loot, Yogi is seizing this opportunity to assert himself, to also show that he is a bigger Hindutva leader. He is more pure and chaste than the others in the BJP. So, can Yogi make the most out of this Ram temple loot? Or do you see him as a suffocated man? Because this is something which has happened to his own party, but his hands are tied down. What does he say? Or because ultimately it boils down to BJP. So, all these are questions which are floating. These are political questions which people are discussing. And in fact, the sources have started talking to the reporters as well. Say, for example, Telegraph today has done a story, and the reporter JP Yadav has filed a story today where he says that the BJP leaders from Gorakhpur have started talking to the media. Some BJP insiders have started speaking to the people in Delhi, and on the condition of anonymity, they have started saying that this is the right opportunity for Yogi to project himself as the political heir of Prime Minister Modi. Now, can that really happen? Is something to be discussed. Joining me this evening is Saba Naqvi, senior journalist, political commentator, and author. Thank you so much, Saba, for joining. And I'd like to begin with this particular question, the political question, the way Yogi is asserting himself. This assertiveness of Yogi, what does it speak? If you look at the 2027 UP elections.
Neelu, I just want to make a correction. The Supreme Court vacation bench continues till the 12th of July. It's only the full court only
Okay.
comes. You
Yeah,
said
yeah.
tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
That is
Okay.
a technical
Yeah.
error.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
should get these
Thank you.
details correct, right? It only on the 13th it resumes. But that is neither here nor there. Obviously, look, the Ram temple is a project of having covered it. Our village is not too far from Ayodhya, having covered it while covering the Bharatiya Janata Party for many years during the time when this was an issue. It involves every level of the party, and it definitely involves Sangh Parivar and the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. So it is one of those fascinating internal dynamics. It is not going to be a linear, straight story. Everybody is going to try and come out of it smelling good. It's not as if Yogi was the chief minister. Where was his law and order if there was this kind of loot taking place in the Ram temple, you know? And he is also somebody who who is the chief mahant of a religious institution. It's not that simple. I know the binaries have put it that some people recommended by the PMO did the loot, or the VHP says we didn't do the loot, the RSS people did the loot, who got access to that money. Right now, we cannot come to this quick, but certainly Yogi has a reason to try and rise above it because he faces an election. And this is a very serious issue because the entire edifice of the Bharatiya Janata Party historically, it became prominent only because of the Ram Mandir Andolan. And then in 2019, the Supreme Court gave the land to the Hindu side. And then in 24, they built this great mandir, and it was incomplete actually the structure when they did the inauguration. And then in that election, they lost the seat of Ayodhya. Please look at the sequence of events. It's a long history. They lost the seat of Ayodhya. And after that shocking, and the Narendra Modi government lost a simple majority. After that, it's all interlinked. After that, they have decided that they cannot trust the people to know what is best for them. So the entire engineering of SIR, special intensive reviews, they have focused on state elections. They have removed so many voters. So, of course, Yogi will try and be on top of it. But this is such a volatile issue because it goes up to the Prime Minister himself. We cannot make any predictions. But of course, since Yogi is a sitting chief minister, we imagine he will be the face of the Bharatiya Janata Party going into an election. You know, he was a sitting chief minister even when BJP lost half the seats of UP in the Lok Sabha election. But since then, the new element in India has been special intensive review, voter deletions. So it changes the demography of electoral of seats, and that has also been done in Uttar Pradesh. So there are many aspects to this. So I cannot simplistically say, but certainly, and one more thing that I can say is because the RSS has been mentioned repeatedly. The RSS does not abandon its people, to my knowledge. Because I remember, if you recall, there was a case of Sanjay Joshi, who was a pracharak of the RSS. That was
Yes.
not a corruption case. That was a case involving his private conduct. And it is known that the prime minister, who had by then become the prominent leader, who would later become the prime minister, that time he was chief minister, did not like this man at all. But the Sangh didn't fully abandon him. But let's see about this is such an existential issue. I would like to see if the RSS makes sacrificial goats of its people. Who would they be? Because also remember, Atal Bihari Vajpayee did not like Govindacharya. Govindacharya, an important pracharak, had to walk away from dealing with the Bharatiya Janata Party, and he had to go back to whatever activities he did in the Sangh. So the mass politicians do have their say. But beyond Yogi, the big one is Narendra Modi. So Yogi cannot get the better of Modi, or cannot be allowed to do it. He will not be. Nobody can get better than Narendra Modi, who has Amit Shah by its side. So it's not such a simple game as we are saying, because I mean, these are people who
No,
have
but
cut down.
do you sense the fact that this Ram temple loot has brought down the credibility of BJP and RSS both, and which is why many people say that
Of
publicly now
course,
they cannot dilute what Yogi is going on saying.
listen, of course it has. In the middle of examination paper loops, middle of rising prices, jobs are not being created. Of course, it has brought down. It has created a larger credibility crisis. But the half the problem is that uh, because the media is managed in such a way that you say there is no opposition, but there is an opposition. We know that, but they will. It's a very complicated situation in a first past the post system. What is the Bharatiya Janata Party trying to do? Is it needs to get enough of the votes to win each seat, right? And then say we had a great victory. That is how the management is done. So let's see what the internal equations are, but they are being settled, they are being made. Certainly, the Ram Temple issue throws open the entire internal dynamics. It is an internal matter because they were all involved. It is
No, but the very
RSS.
fact that we haven't seen any resignations happening in the last 12 years, at least since the time Prime Minister Modi has taken over as Prime Minister. Now, this does this come as the first admission of a failure, or rather, he admits that okay, things have gone wrong, whether it is forcefully or whether the situation has forced him to do. Would you say that this is for the first time, because we haven't seen any resignations happening in the past? So politically, what does the resignation of Anil Mishra and Champat Rai mean for Prime Minister Modi?
I don't think, Neelu, the problem with this story is that it has so many tentacles. It goes to so many places. We cannot say the PM has accepted defeat. There's a whole andolan going on in Delhi by young people, and Dharmendra Pradhan is still sitting there. He's going to every mandir every day and matha takeoing and then watching Modi's Man Ki Baat and all that. So all of these things are there. Probably the government feels that nothing can happen to the center. That is crucial, that they've broken all the parties, nothing can happen to the center. But Uttar Pradesh is an important election. Now, would there is an open question? Would Prime Minister Modi and his deputy, which is the Home Minister, want Yogi Adityanath to be triumphant over there? You know, and so it's a very complicated. But there are no straight answers at this point. There are no straight answers at this point. One thing which I'll say is that everybody was saying that more and more parties will be broken, right? Samajwadi Party's name also came up. So even DMK will be managed for this constitutional amendment bill. I think politics has shifted a little bit. There is a section of the Samajwadi Party which was being discussed, which is the Ram Kripal Yadav section, which was said that there were some cases which the government can use as leverage. But the thing is, people do not leave parties when they see a future. Plus, I would just like to make a distinction about the Samajwadi Party versus the TMC. The Samajwadi Party is full of MPs and families which are rooted from the socialist movement, which have clout in their regions, who cannot walk over to the BJP because they would lose their vote shares forever. They will not have a future. The TMC was full of, it was the cult of Mamta. And so a lot of people were just made, some of them. People from other professions which are not political families, they got those tickets. And then in Bengal, there is such you need protection or whatever. So you've seen these terrible splits. Even though we must bear in mind that Samajwadi Party has been out of power since 2017. You know, so then the third question is, why are they not always in agitation mode? Why are they not always? I'll say one thing is that there is something called bulldozer Raj in UP. The regular rule of law does not apply. So the only way to fight this battle politically is to fight it almost in camouflage, undercover, and to just fight once the elections come out. Because you will be raided, your homes will be destroyed, your shops, your family members will get some bulldozer will arrive. That is the level of fear.
No, but
That
Sabah,
is,
what is your sense that, you were talking about the opposition like Samajwadi Party? Can this Ram temple loot provide a springboard on which the opposition really can bounce back? And will they be able to maintain the heat? Because if there is any conclusive investigation which happens, then of course there will be other issues. But this is one sentiment. Can it keep the opposition going
because,
in 2027 elections?
this will not be forgotten, this story. It's not going to be one issue election. People are going to decide. And the more vulnerable you are on the social scale in Uttar Pradesh, where I'm from, the less likely you are going to. Yeah, this does not apply to Jats and Yadavs, but once you get into Awadh, where we are from, or you go to eastern UP, Purvachal people still talk more. You think the Pasis and the Mauryas and all that, if they're going to make a shift, they will not tell you. It will happen. And this is the area from where the shock came. Ayodhya is also in Awadh. This is the area where there was a rout for the Bharatiya Janata Party, and very few people saw it coming. You know, so and the Pasis are the prominent Dalits over there. Their Chamars and all are in west, where the Sapa does not traditionally have a hold. So there are many things that get into play because people have very difficult lives in these places. They don't have
No,
much
but
to lose.
you've traveled extensively in UP and other parts of the country, and after seeing this Ram temple loot and the kind of sentiment which it is evoking, even from the common man, do you think that this issue can be BJP's undoing?
No, no, of course it can be used. Of course it can. I mean, if your party's reason for existence was a temple. That's how the BJP became big. It became big with Ram Andolan. Throughout the Vajpayee era, which was a coalition government, it was always about where they had agreed to set aside the Ram Mandir as a goal. The whole debate was what is the position on Ayodhya. It was went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then because the Narendra Modi government was a single party government and the whole system, everything else was crashed with their control of political wealth, of all political finance, everything, ED, all of that came into play in the Modi era. So, but of course, what it shows you is the hollowness of this edifice. It does tell you that even this claim to great faith was hollow and that
Right.
people were stealing from the Ram Mandir. Now, stealing from places of religious worship is not new in the world. It's happened in
Absolutely.
the Vatican also. It's happened in other temples in India. But the Ram Mandir was a unique political project linked to the destiny of a party, linked to the ideology of the RSS and the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. So it is different than just old temples like Tirupati or some in the south where people were stealing ghee and gold or whatever. It
No,
is
but Sabah,
different.
how do you think that the core voter of the BJP, which voted for BJP only in the name of Ram, how would that core voter
There is
get
a there is a
educated?
core voter who will not budge.
Okay.
There is a path voter now created.
You are saying despite the Ram temple loot, they will not budge.
Some of them will be looking around, but they will be very disillusioned, and it would combine. But there is a core voter which believes in them, which believes in this Hindu project. But even some of them, their children are protesting. Their children are getting
Yeah.
this news leak because what is the social demographics of UP? UP has the largest Brahmin population in the whole of India. We don't have a caste census, but it is estimated that it is about 10%, 8 to 10% Brahmins, which is really rare. It's usually one, two, two, three. The difference between UP and Bihar is this: if you add the Thakurs and you add the Kayas and all that, UP has a very large upper caste chunk. That is how it differs a little bit from Bihar. So now all the data has shown us that the upper caste overwhelmingly vote for the Bharatiya Janata Party in the Hindi belt. Will there the vote thins out when you get to the caste, the backward caste and Dalits? It starts thinning out. Definitely, minorities, all these would have large deletions also. Then name numbers would have been cut down.
No, but
All of that.
everybody's asking that one simple question, that with this Ram temple loot, how has BJP and RSS, how have they got exposed? Now, does it go to show that their fate was was a sham? Their entire devotion towards Lord Ram, was that a sham? How does one read that?
Listen, Neelu, it just shows you that human nature in all that we are a deeply corrupt society. And that even Ram Mandir, those anointed by those who claimed a holy project, who claimed a transformation of India, they were sitting there and presiding over loot. So it's very serious. Because this is not just another mandir or a masjid or a church. All institutions where people come, where there is wealth or a Sufi shrine, all of them, there is corruption. Because where there is organized religion, there is money, there are devotees, there are donations, and we have known corruption. But this was a different project. It was a project which was broadcast on television once Modi came. It was a project that led to the dismantling of the secular framework of India. When the act of the demolition of the Babri Masjid took place, it was a project that also led to a mass movement which culminated in the success of a party. The Ram Janmabhoomi Andolan is historically, it was a mass movement. And people were giving bricks for the mandir. I still remember a story from years ago. I don't know whether it's true. Somebody can ask Akhilesh at some point. But I remember Mulayam Singh Yadav's family members, some of them were also giving. At that time, Akhilesh was not yet in politics. They were also giving bricks. It was a question of Ram Mandir. It reshaped the nation, reshaped the BJP, reshaped political equation, reshaped jurisprudence. Because that judgment that came out, it was also controversial. I was in Ayodhya actually that day when the judgment was suddenly declared. And the night before, I can share this now, is I was in Lucknow. And one had met members of the Lucknow judiciary because I've had long routes to Uttar Pradesh. And there was no way legally that people were of the view that that a unanimous judgment in thing of the Hindu side can come. And I went up to Ayodhya like I've gone many times. And that day, and another journalist was there who you would know, Suman Gupta, who I've known for years. She's a fantastic Ayodhya-based journalist. And I remember she was with me, and then suddenly this judgment came. And I think I came back to Delhi in a train, and then I wrote a column in Times of India at that time because I was writing, And so these are things which are hard to. It's big. So Ram Mandir is not any mandir. Number one. So we cannot equate the loot there with loots that's happened everywhere. We cannot say that because it is a project that has changed India. It is unique. It changes the constitutional framework of India. It changes jurisprudence. It changes politics. It creates the Bharatiya Janata Party. It gives them the first foothold in mass politics.
Absolutely. No, but
And
does
then
it become a turning point? But does this become a turning point for the
Neelu,
BJP?
I don't know that. We have to see whether the electoral expression, what we also against the Bharatiya Janata Party, is even possible these days, or it's managed. But what is interesting, so let's say it's managed, let's say in Maharashtra and Bengal. The question about Uttar Pradesh is this: that will the managers of the Bharatiya Janata Party be united in how they wish to manage UP? There is a question wide open over there, right? This is all highly, we get into the realm of great speculation. But I would also, from my earlier experience of covering the BJP, there were so many stories about Vajpayee and Vajpayee versus Advani and all that. But in the end, they all came together for the same project. They are creations of an ideological parivar, But a unique thing did happen in UP during the 24 election, where I went, traveled, and I found RSS workers sitting at home. They were not happy because the BJP had declared 400 par. If you remember, the then president, he had made a statement also. The Himachal leader, who was the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party, who preceded the current president. Anyway, the one who was there for years. The name is just, he had
I'm
made a
not able to
statement that
recall.
we can independently win and all that. The BJP had dialed a wrong number in that election. They lost. So, I wrote about it. So it's nothing secret. Meerut, Agra, RSS workers were just sitting back. 400 par unka hoga. Maharashtra, the same thing happened. But once
No,
they
but
got a warning,
what you are just explaining about RSS that they withdrew in 2024. Now, after this episode, do you think, and there is a sense of unease within the BJP and the RSS ranks, especially the central leadership? Do you think that the rift could widen now with and as the
we
investigation
don't know.
goes?
We don't know, Neelu. We don't know which faction is acting how. Let us say that events like Maharashtra and Bengal, where you need to exclude so many people from so many seats and you need to manage, it is done with the might of some central intelligence election commission, which comes under the center. I mean, it doesn't come under the center, supposed to be autonomous, but we know there is great influence. Now, the chief election commissioner is chosen by two people, since the thing about Uttar Pradesh, which will be interesting, is are they ready? We can even speculate that would it be okay if Yogi is defeated as long as in the Lok Sabha the BJP retains?
No, but I'm quite interested in knowing, and you can give your thoughts to it. That what is Yogi's end goal now with this investigation progressing, the SIT being formed? Is Yogi gunning at Delhi as becoming the political heir? That is question number one. Is he trying to consolidate himself as the next CM candidate for UP elections? What is it? What will
I
he try and
I
reap
have
out of this?
no insight into Yogi. We can only speculate. But whatever it is that people say that he will be the next heir apparent, you think, I mean, sure, he can be. Anything can happen. But I mean, he's a completely Hindi belt person. Can you see any communication with the South and all, Modi and all still pull it off? Modi was a chief minister for many years from Gujarat. He still pull. I don't know. Maybe Yogi can do that too. Who knows? That bulldozer Baba is going to become the prime minister of India. Of course, he can. Anything can happen. We have seen anything happen in our country. So I still have a. Uh, in any case, listen, Neelu. The first thing about these succession stories, Modi is not going anywhere. Watch him. He's looking fitter. He's doing yoga better than some of them. And how far is 29? He has no desire to go anywhere. So let's forget about the next
Which means
election.
that you are saying in a way that Ram Temple loot, will it affect BJP or Modi or Yogi? That's very difficult to speculate at this point of time.
Of course, it'll affect them. It'll affect people's faith. It will disgust people. What they do electorally, and even if they're voting against the BJP, does it get recorded electorally? Or is it all man? We don't know
Yeah,
many things now. There
absolutely.
are
Yeah.
some things I still want to believe in, and but the thing is that I am not a great fan of speculation stories about succession to Narendra Modi. Till Narendra Modi says, "Hello, I'm retiring," he will not retire. He is going to be the face in 29. I
True.
don't know why
That's
people
true.
carry on looking for the successor. He is going to have 4 terms, and we'll have all these Godi anchors looking here and saying, "Oh, Modi ji, कैसे लगता है आपको आप दुनिया देश के नहीं दुनिया के सबसे लॉन्ग लास्टिंग पीएम हो imagine
Absolutely.
that will what we'll get
Yeah.
more. So Modi is not going anywhere, so
Absolutely.
ये succession की बात we can leave it, even though
Yeah.
I know Yogi and Amit Shah are both much younger, you know but Modi is
But
not
still,
going
it's difficult
you
to.
know
Yeah. But okay, so let's leave aside the succession or the successor of Prime Minister Modi. But the core voter of the BJP, you feel, will surely get drifted away from the BJP.
Oh, yes.
But whether that drift is
Mr.
recorded
Neelu,
electorally or not, that is different.
Neelu, I was in our village for something, and I was coming back. It's 2 hours. I was going straight to Lucknow airport. I had to take a cab, 2 ghanta. So I got into got into a very nice kind of a cab, but the guy had not a ringtone. He had a SMS alert. Okay, for every WhatsApp and every SMS, the phone went Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. So there were 1,000 Jai Shri Rams. But he was a very decent man, very good driver. Stopped on the way, middle of a heat wave. So then I said to him, I asked him, I said, "आपको कैसे लग रहा है ये सब अयोध्या की बात हो रही है?" Ayodhya is not far from our village, because अवध का इलाका है. So he said, I used to have family in Faizabad, so I used to travel up and down, Kanpur, Faizabad, our summer holidays were doing all that. And Unnao also. But anyway, Pratapgarh, हर जगह थोड़े-थोड़े लोग हैं. But this was there, and then I said, कैसे बहुत बहुत बुरा हो गया, बहुत बुरा हो गया, विश्वास दिल ठेस लगा, लेकिन यकीन है कि वो ठीक कर देंगे. So he's a complete devotee. He is a man who believes. So if we stop looking at it in a political lens, he's a decent man who's a working man. He is a believer. His faith has been shaken. So, that is where we are.
All right. So, yeah, we won't speculate. We'll have to wait and watch how things unfold as far as the Ram temple loot is concerned. For now, even Supreme Court has said that they will not conduct any urgent hearing. So, once the court reopens, we'll have to see what happens. Thank you so much, Saba, for joining on
It's
HW.
always a pleasure. Always.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.